What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today I am jumping into some more Orcs Must Die Unchained. This time we are going to be going through the Storm Drain, and as usual we'll be doing it with Max, but first I want to point out something. Until this gets patched, there are Guardian placements on the map, but they are not on the mini-map that displays before you select it. They are in the lower left-hand corner near the rift, and in the lower right. For what we'll be doing here, I'm going to recommend that you place them in the lower left-hand corner. You'll be able to force enemies to path all the way around, but the lower left is really where he'll be able to start dealing damage. And as usual, we need to basically pile on as much damage as soon as possible to actually get through the stage quickly. So let's go ahead and jump into this, just so I can show you guys some of the interesting things that happens here, because I really like the way that the stage is actually set up. You can't really barricade enemies off to deal with the traps that you set up, but at the same time, you are able to protect your rift with barricades, so that part's a bit interesting. Either way, we'll be using the same stuff as usual: Festival of Mending, Lion Guardian, Tier 4 Floor Spikes and Barricade, Tier 3 Arrow Wall, Brimstone, and Tar Trap, Tier 1 Swinging Mace, and a Tier 2 Concussive Pounder. Half these traps probably won't even be seen. Or maybe like one of them. Or two. Let's see. Alright, so here we go. Now, it's not going to be too much that you'll want to do here in the beginning, but we're definitely going to want to barricade off those two sections. We're going to drop a Guardian here, and we're going to rush towards this first gate and drop these spike traps while we have the opportunity. We are not going to be babysitting gates on this particular map, so just be aware of that.
I'll never notice this.
We'll try to use that to bunch enemies up a bit. Actually, we'll want to save as much of our trap count as we can here. So,
cut once.
as you see, the enemies are going to start spreading out.
I'll just leave this right here. I'll never notice this.
We'll do that.
Cut once.
That only costs us 5 traps, and because this is a low trap limit stage with 3 gates, we're going to want to concentrate them in areas where enemies will have to path. So that's what we're going to focus on. Here we go.
Enemy has opened a minion portal.
Now, the extra cash that I have here probably means that I should have focused on placing a few more barricades at the bottom over here, or at the top here, so I wouldn't have to place them later. I will do that once I manage to make it through this section here, but it's basically going to waste me some time by not doing that when I had the cash and the timer wasn't running. So you guys learn from my mistake, do that. And you're probably asking why I didn't place that many traps there. As you can see, the enemies are pretty plentiful. You're not going to be able to babysit the gates again, like I said previously. And so you will have to be able to deal with the enemies sort of going down this corridor here. And that's not a bad thing. It's not like you failed just because they managed to make it down the path. The game is pretty much set up so that you have to give room to them. Like, you can't just auto stall everything. Even Bianca has trouble with soldiers because of their health shield. Nope, you're gonna hit it. Okay. As long as you don't get to blow them up, I'm a-okay. Gonna grab Aim to Please and drop on the health potion. Alright, and that should be most of that. Alright, and I don't need any health, but we're gonna start putting these up now.
Whoopsie. Almost hurt myself on that.
Alright, and running through that rift will actually get us some health back.
I'll just leave this right
Alright,
here.
so that is almost all of the barricades that we will need for this map. Next, we will start placing the damage.
I'll never notice this.
So, we know the enemies will have to go down here. We're going to prepare for it.
I'll just leave this right here.
By allowing them to on fire, and usually taking a bunch of spikes on the butt. That will help you not have to deal with too much, and as usual, stacking tars together will allow you to unchain like it was going out of style. However, it is very in style. That is why we're going to do it now. Come on. You can take these guys out.
I still got it.
Alright, stun them so that they group up. That makes the lightning better. Alright, got a good amount of explosions. The combos that you get by killing the enemies here will also help you immensely as far as gaining levels. There's a few other things that we'll want to do, but that's basically it. Now we're just going to mash Z here, and we're going to start running over to the other gate. Now they're going to take a little bit of time to actually come out of there, and we have Bianca coming out of the other exit, which is horrible.
You'll never notice this. Whoopsie.
Alright, we're just going to speed build here,
I'll just leave this right here.
let them group up, and then burn them a bit. Now Bianca's pretty far away, but she's charging us, which is great. We're going to stun her, blow her up, and then we're okay. Be careful not to let her get too close to you, as very, very bad things can happen. Okay, we're gonna take care of the explosives, and then everybody else is basically just gonna get zapped. And eventually we're going to want to build some traps along that top corridor there, but we just don't have the time or freedom to deal with it at the moment, which is why we did. We have our Unchained again, so we're gonna let them feel the pain. And this is pretty much why we stack tars. If anybody ever tells you that tar trap is a bad trap, you tell them to take their negativity and their lack of unchaining and put it somewhere else. I mean, a lot of people like to take a scroll of the Unchained, but personally, I feel that if you were supposed to just spam an item to use the mechanic, it wouldn't be really useful in the game. Alright, we got another one. Sweet. So my character DPS is probably going to be like through the roof. And the fact that we're getting all of this Unchained means that we're getting a bunch of bonus experience too. Now I'm going to run up here, and I'm going to start barricading this area off now. You'll need to do it for enemies that come out later. I believe there will be satyrs, but I'm doing it primarily because whoops, that was a mistake. Okay, gonna line that shot up, and I missed. That's horrible. That wasted me a few seconds. Hopefully that's not enough to cause me any serious problems. I'm gonna grab that. Alright, and then we're just gonna start zapping things again. Now, we're going to start building traps back to where our Guardian is. We're going to have to move this concussive pounder though. I can build that one because that's at least in the right place. Right. You guys are dying. I like that. Alright, we're doing okay on time. Like, I think I need to be a bit faster, but the trap setup here is good. You can get the burning happening. We're about to get our Unchained back. And I'm going to pop it again. Okay, let's charge them. Pop up the deflector. Take out the archer. Zap everybody. Alright, we're just going to mash Z again, because we don't want to waste any time. All of our seconds are precious. Alright, now these guys are going to have to come out here. So we'll start building another set of everything over here, mainly because it is near this. Alright, so feel free to make liberal use of your tar. It is a great trap and should be recognized as such. Now there's nothing coming from the first gate, so you're literally free to go nuts on whatever is here, and feel free to do so. And remember, wasting DPS is a criminal offense. As soon as you get to unload on something, do it. Grab So Beautiful It Hurts. Stun them. Spread the lightning around. Oh, we got a big guy. Goodbye. Alright. And he's done. Okay. Now, these angled walls
Whoopsie.
are
Almost
good
hurt
for that.
myself on that.
So feel free to do so. Oh wait, on wave 6 is where you have to pay
They've
special
summoned a boss
attention.
minion.
This is where they drop your Swifty. So you know he always likes to charge straight towards your gate. Stun him, hit him with that. If you've built your traps similar to what I have set up here and got kills over them, you will have a good number of combos built up, and you should be able to do some pretty solid damage to him with that bolt and not have to worry about him getting too much further. He's pretty much the trickiest thing to deal with on this map, so deal with him. If you make it past Swifty, you can do anything. Like I said before, the whole theme of Master seems to just be getting around swifty hooves and other shenanigans that they like to throw at you. Okay. We're doing pretty good. We got 6 minutes to deal with these waves. Okay.
Twice, cut once. I'll just leave this right here.
So that's most of our traps now. We can actually afford to build this out a bit more.
No one will be
Going to drop some fire here.
twice,
Some
cut
more
once.
slows.
They'll never notice this.
This.
Whoopsie. Almost hurt
And
myself
then
on
we're going to
that.
burn them if they actually make it to the Guardian. So we should be good from now on. That's the majority of our traps. We don't really need to worry about building anything else, but
Okay,
just because I can, we are going to build a couple more arrow walls over where that large area is that you see the 2 large blips coming from in the center of the stage. Okay, so we're going to grab Persistent because, as always, Persistent is great with dealing with soldiers. It gives you basically a second shot for each arrow bolt that you fire, and it just helps to chip them away and make sure that they drop. It's really hard to make any of the other choices consistent, especially since things like In Your Faces cost a significant amount of mana. And here we go.
They'll never notice this.
Just because we may need that someday. And this area up here is pretty much just going to be what you disregard mostly. The enemies are going to get to that area over here sooner than everybody else, so not really going to be a big deal. Alright, and now of course we have super tanky Mr. Hogarth coming down with these Satyrs and Elementals. We're going to pop the In Your Faces, and he's going to run out now, right? Okay. It's alright. You have to catch me, sir. I'm going to stun you. Now, we're just going to pop that, blow you up, and I think we are a-okay. Gonna grab that. And because everybody's over our traps now, let's just Unchained and start lighting them up. Once you have Persistent, the chances of the exploding dwarves actually being any sort of a problem for you is pretty much nil. Alright, so these guys pretty much are half dead. If you can whittle them down a bit, they will get closer to death and actually charge into the rest of your traps a bit sooner. I may have overdone it a bit with the tars, so if you feel that time is really not on your side, whoops, there we go. Time isn't on your side.
Cut once.
Feel free to replace some of the tars with spikes. But you do want to make sure that you have enough damage traps and you don't allow the Satyrs to overtake you. That's really what you're focused on. Okay, now line this shot up, take it, and there we go. Alright, we got 3 minutes, 2 waves. I think that's good time. I usually get here with about 2 minutes left. I have not 5-starred this solo yet, so this will be my first shot. Alright, here we go. Those guys are down. Now we can work on them. Oh, and they got some really big bears. That was a lovely shot. Took out a good amount of them too. Alright, Mr. Giant. No more time for you. And now we got soldiers. Come on. Come play with the traps. Traps love me. Feel their spiky embrace. Alright, there we go. That round's done. Last wave, about a minute and a half to deal with it. I think we can do that. So,
They've
minute
summoned
40
a boss
seconds.
minion.
Okay, so the boss is green wheeled. He's nothing to be afraid of. So, we're going to chase him down. As soon as we get up to him, we're going to let him know we're not afraid and blow him up.
We've defeated the enemy's boss minion.
No problems. So, murder these giants as hard as you can, and then start focusing your attention on these guys. The giants will eventually run through your traps. Let the traps deal the damage. As always, don't try to muffle them by slowing the enemies down too much. You built the traps so that they would deal damage, not so that you could just dance around them. Alright. So these guys are mostly gone. Alright. Not waste any DPS here. Got bears. Alright, we got explodey guys running. Nice. Very close. Alright, we got about 30 seconds. It's Unchained. Good. Wow. That bear just pretty much died through eruptions. And I think we have it. I think that was it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes! Alright. Okay, and there we go. 1344. Now, again with that, wall traps not going to be super useful, and this is probably the most telling sign of the fact that those traps weren't optimal for that stage. If you have the opportunity, I would highly recommend using something like ice vents and flame sprayers. You can use spike traps, ice vents, and flame sprayers, or floor scorchers, I'm sorry. They're pretty well, but because of all the unchaining, I actually outdamage my traps. And that's a very uncommon occurrence. I usually do about 40% of the damage of my traps. And that could be a mix of, you know, just really solid trap combos, in addition to, you know, just the way that soldiers work. The traps really lose a lot of their DPS when their sturdy ability triggers. But that's the map. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, feel free to like or upvote this if it was educational or you learned anything or it was just good to watch. If you have any comments or there's anything that you'd like to ask me, feel free to drop them beneath the description. And until next time, have a good one, folks.